Hey guys, this is Seale, personal trainer and strength and conditioning coach at Upside Strength. And in this short presentation, you're going to learn everything you need to know about speed training for field sport athletes. Let's get started. The first reason to include speed training into your program is simply to improve your running speed. Speed is one of the most important physical qualities that you can develop as an athlete, and if you want to get faster, you need to sprint. Speed training is also a great injury prevention activity. There's no better way to get ready for the demands of sprinting than by actually doing it. Thirdly, getting faster will directly improve your endurance through increasing your speed reserve and by improving your running efficiency. And finally, you should train speed because nobody does it, or at least very few people do it correctly. So if you do a good job of it, you're almost guaranteed to have an edge on the rest of the pack. Speed training can be broken down into two main categories: linear speed and multi-directional speed. In this video, we'll focus on acceleration and max velocity training, which are both part of the linear speed category. We'll leave multi-directional speed and agility for another video. The reason why we make the distinction between acceleration and top speed sprinting is because the mechanics of those two actions are different enough to require slightly different training approaches. Let's start with acceleration training. It's important to understand, feel, and practice ideal posture before going straight into sprinting. For this purpose, field sport athletes should start with wall posture drills to strengthen their acceleration position. Once you have a good understanding and control of these exercises, you can transition to sprinting and resisted sprinting from a stopped start. Resisted sprints can be done with the help of gravity by using a hill, for example, or by using an external load like a sled or a specific cable machine. These exercises will encourage a more aggressive body angle and require you to produce more horizontal force on each ground contact, which are two important characteristics of the acceleration phase compared to the top speed phase. The next best thing to train acceleration are horizontal explosive jumps, such as jumping or bounding up a hill or up a flight of stairs. Acceleration is best improved using distances of 10 to 30 meters, with a volume per session usually between 100 and 200 total meters. When practicing acceleration mechanics, you want to think about pushing the floor behind you and away with each step using a piston-like action with the legs. You also want to throw the hands and split the arms on the first few steps to generate the most force possible with your upper body and help you get moving forward. Here's an example of a hill sprint session you could use to improve your speed and acceleration. After a thorough warm-up and some wall posture work, you would perform 4 reps of 10-meter acceleration, then 3 reps of 20 meters and 2 reps of 30 meters to finish. You'll rest 1 minute between the 10-meter accelerations, 1.5 minutes between the 20-meter reps, and 2 minutes between the 30-meter reps. You'll also rest 3 minutes when transitioning from the 10 to the 20 and from the 20 to the 30-meter segments. This session can be done once or twice per week in addition to a top speed session. Let's now look at how we can train top speed. Top speed is a very technical skill to master. For this reason, field sport athletes should always start by practicing their running technique before using more advanced training strategies such as max effort flying sprints. This is where power speed drills come in handy. Power speed drills are a collection of running exercises that break down the ideal top speed gait cycle into its constituent parts to better train them in isolation. Power speed drills are usually done over 15 to 30 meters and can be performed at different intensities depending on the aim of the session. Once you understand and are proficient at performing these basics, you can advance into intensive tempo runs, which are usually done over 40 to 60 meters at 80 to 85% speed to help you rehearse proper running mechanics as you approach top speed. And finally, we have flying sprints. Flying sprints are a maximal effort run on a given distance, but where the build-up to that maximal speed is sub-maximal. This allows you to stay more relaxed on the acceleration phase to better focus on the max speed portion. Flying sprints are usually performed over 5 to 30 meter segments for a total volume per session between 80 and 200 meters. When practicing running at top speeds, you should first and foremost work on staying relaxed, fluid, and rhythmic. Avoid trying to run fast. Think of the floor as being a hot plate and try to strike it as fast as possible with each step without burning yourself. Here's another sample session for you. This one is composed of a warm-up, a power speed drill segment, and then some flying sprints over 10 and 20 meters. As I mentioned earlier, max speed running is a more intense activity compared to acceleration, which means that the rest times between flying sprints are usually longer. Here you rest between 3 and 4 minutes on your 10 meter and 20 meter flying sprints. In the off-season, athletes can train speed 2 to 3 times per week, depending on their training status and the demands of their sport. In season, you'll want to sprint at least once per week to make sure that your body is exposed to those top speeds for injury prevention purposes. If you're following a high-low training structure, perform speed work on high days along with other high-intensity activities such as plyometrics, jumps, throws, any strength training above 80%, hard conditioning work, or sport practice. Athletes taking part in field sports that predominantly require aerobic and alactic qualities, such as rugby or soccer, can combine sprint work with extensive tempo runs for best performance results. If you don't know what tempo runs are, you'll find a link in the description to another short presentation I made about this topic. Now let's look at the biggest mistakes that are made when performing speed training in sports. Mistake number 1, resting too little. Incomplete rest prevents true maximal intensity work to be performed on subsequent reps and will compromise your running technique. Always respect the recommended rest times no matter how ready you might feel. Mistake number 2, not practicing the basics. Speed is a skill. You need to rehearse the technical components of acceleration and max velocity sprinting in order to run faster and keep improving over time. So make sure you're using and practicing wall posture exercises as well as power speed drills on a weekly basis. Mistake number 3, too much too soon. Sprinting is arguably the most intense bodyweight activity that any human can perform. Top-level sprinters can experience forces equivalent to up to 5 times their body weight on each ground contact when running at max speeds. So it's important to build yourself up starting with slightly less demanding activities such as power speed drills and resisted accelerations before transitioning to the more intense and demanding exercises like flying sprints and advanced plyometric exercises. Let me start with this important reminder. Speed is a high-intensity skill, so always practice it like you would practice any other sports skill, with focus, patience, and following the appropriate progression for your level. Now let's look at a few strategies to best incorporate speed training into your sport training structure. You can include wall posture drills and power speed drills at the end of your regular warm-up. This is a good way to end your warm-up with slightly more dynamic movements, and it will also help improve your acceleration and top speed technique without requiring too much time or intensity. Microdosing is the best way to start including sprint training into a sport practice context without using up too much time. Microdosing simply means performing only a handful of reps with appropriate rest times instead of doing a full speed session. The best time to microdose sprints is usually between the end of the warm-up and before the rest of the training session. Even if you don't do a lot of them, the high intensity of each sprinting rep will yield positive adaptations over time, especially if you're not used to speed training in the first place. To more accurately reflect the demands of your sport, make sure you also include different starting positions on your acceleration work. For example, you can start from a low push-up position, a high push-up position, a half kneeling position, or even facing backwards. And finally, here's another great way to optimize speed training time in sports. Instead of standing around during the rest intervals, use this time to practice sport-specific technical drills. You can work on your ball handling skills, juggle a ball, play pass with a teammate, or any other low-intensity exercise that you can think of. That's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching this short presentation. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this one, please leave a comment below and let me know what topic you would like me to cover next. See you next time.